20 gallons of corn and crawfish bisque. Y'all stick around. I'm about to knock this out. So I had the pleasure of cooking on site at the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. If you don't know, the Myrtles is one of the top 10 most haunted houses in the country. This was at the St. Francisville Food and Wine Festival. And I gotta tell you, man, this property is amazing. It's just kind of eerie yet beautiful. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was awesome. And it was time to get this pot heated up. Man, this big pot's always scaring me. I needed to lower this one down a little bit. So first things first, I add a little bit of cooking oil to this pot, and then I spread it around with a paper towel. You know, the cooking oil just gives this a slick surface and does some even coating and heating before we add anything to our pot. Next, I add 4 sticks of butter, and I let that get melted. Once the butter has melted, I add in 20 diced up yellow onions. From here, I add 20 diced up sticks of celery and 10 diced up green bell peppers. The Cajun Holy Trinity, ladies and gentlemen. So I let that sit for a little bit, and then I start to move it around. It's always good to let your vegetables sweat out for a little bit before you toss them around. But this is where we start working it, and we have patience. Just low and slow. I will be adding 24 pounds of Louisiana crawfish to this dish. We got a lot of people to feed at this event. We doing it big. The view in front of me was amazing. It was this beautiful pond and this trail that went all along the pond with a bunch of people cooking it up. Big shout out to Chef Graylin Thibodeau. I was super busy and he was able to get me a coffee and a muffin. I needed that. The tent I was cooking at was sponsored by Explore Homa. Explore Homa had me all set up with my fancy shirt here, Cajun Ninja logo, and Explore Homa logo. Man, I was looking like a real chef. So the greens in my trinity here was starting to lighten up in color. That's when I add 1 cup of minced garlic. And I shake it a good bit, but I knew I was going to have to scoop that in. From here, I incorporate the garlic into the trinity and cook this down to a soft consistency. From here, I add 1 8.5 ounce can of Paya seasoning. I go ahead and sprinkle this all throughout the trinity, and then I will get it mixed in. Look how pretty that is. There you go. Scoop it around. Get it blended evenly. Now that my vegetables are cooked down, I'm adding the first of 8, 32-ounce containers of chicken stock. It gets hot up in here. So I add 1 container and then I add my roux, which is a big old brick here. My wife and I had actually made this roux the day before. It's a peanut butter color roux. It was made with 16 sticks of butter and 1 32-ounce bag of all-purpose flour. Now the reason it looks two-tone like that is because it sat in the fridge overnight. The flour settles to the bottom and the butter rises to the top. So I'm just gradually incorporating it here, letting it melt down into this chicken stock and trinity. Once again, low and slow, the way to go. As I see things thickening up, that's when I add more chicken stock to this pot. I again like to go along the side walls here. It helps get things cleaned up on the walls and brings the vegetables all to one place. It's important to keep things moving here because the bottom of this pot is still very hot. But as you can see, the roux is still not completely broken up. Even though it's looking thick, there's still big chunks of roux in there. So I just got to keep things moving and it will all incorporate. Once I got all my chicken stock incorporated, I then pour in the beginning of 20 quarts of half and half. I start off with 2 containers here. I'm just trying to get things blended in slowly. As you can see, it's a slow pour. And then I'll start to stir it around here where you'll start to even see the color change a bit. It's going to go from a light brown to tan to even kind of a cream color. This is where I add in 10 chopped up bunches of green onions. And we get that stirred in. These green onions will add great flavor and beautiful color to this dish. Now I add in the rest of the half and half. Just gradually pour in and keep things moving on the bottom. From here, it's 10 22-ounce cans, cream of mushroom soup. We get that blended in and then add 10 12-ounce bags of frozen corn. Then we add 16 20-ounce packs of frozen cream-style corn. Frozen makes a difference. Right here I had a 6-ounce bottle of hot sauce. It didn't have the little plastic tip to pull off, so I had to shake it all the way through to get it all out, but eventually we got there. From there, I do about 2/3 cup of Worcestershire sauce, however you say it. After blending all of this together, I now add this 24 pounds of fresh Louisiana crawfish that have been seasoned with some paella seasoning. Look at how pretty these crawfish look right here. Man, that's a thing of beauty. So as you can see, I'm gradually adding these crawfish to the pot, because if you pour this in too fast, man, you could spill all over the place. And trust me, you don't want that. But look how good that looks right there. Just gonna give this some gentle stirs here. We continue to keep this on a low heat and just let it all come together. At this point, my partner Tara had got everything looking pretty. So we were nice and fancy at our little spot here. Got our Explorer Home sign, and we just letting our corn and crawfish bisque cook down. At this time, I took a moment to look around because I knew when the madness got here, I wasn't gonna have much time to do anything. Across the way from me was this group called Radish. I think that's the name of their restaurant. They had some radishes. It was really good too. I got to try some. But I knew I had to get ready to serve it up. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. 20 gallons of some Louisiana goodness. This corn and crawfish bisque consistency had came together beautifully. And it smelled amazing. So we were ready to kick it off. Got my sign out. My last name got that fancy uppercase R. And that's a sample of what it looked like. Something really cool about this event is that they give everybody a paper with all the chefs on them. And if you stop by each tent to try a dish, you get a stamp. If you try them all, you get a chance to win a prize. My guy, Chef Jada Cody, stopped by. Just catch him off guard here. That's what I do, you know. It's okay. Hey, that's the same expression you did in Baton Rouge. You guys are gonna go too fast. Cook a recipe without looking you up. What? As this thing started to get popping, that line really started to form. But I tell you what, man, everybody was so nice and patient. It was just a really cool event. Something I highly recommend. So I gave one last look here to the old Myrtle's plantation, which was very eerie. I noticed that the lights was on upstairs. Maybe something's going on up there, but I tell you what, I wasn't fixing to find out. Now look, if you want to know how to make a corn and crawfish bisque like I just did on a smaller level, just get my cookbook over at CajunNinjaBook.com.